Hey everyone, welcome to the Occult Rejects. In this episode, we will be continuing off with this very weird crime murder situation, the Gilgo Beach murders and wrecks. On the last episode, I think it was quite obvious that my take on this is that there's something weird. In my opinion, I think there might be occult ties behind it or some sort of ritualistic stuff behind it. I do think there is a lot of thelemic symbolism. If people don't know what that actually means, that is Aleister Crowley's style of magic, thelemic magic. I think there's tons of stuff that is associated with Aleister Crowley that was in the last episode, in a sense. And in this one, there will be a lot also. I know last time I mentioned I made posts and said I was going to bring receipts about the Book of Lies. That's still going to happen, but fortunately and unfortunately, I had noticed when I was checking stuff that white stains came up. And I was like, that's a Crowley poem, a rather disgusting, disturbing one, too. If you take it, as the way it sounds. It's a very, very disturbing poem. And I was like, wait a second. Nah, could some of these things start matching poems? And I found a list of poems, and me and Lisa started going through them, and I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Very, very weird.
Crazy.
So there will be no Book of the Lies in this one. It will be in part 3. And we will be showing you, stuff that from last week, maybe that I had forgot, or things from the chat, and new stuff for sure. We got the phone calls, we got locations, and we will be showing you poems that match things as well. Dates of phone calls, addresses that match weird things. This is probably going to be even more weirder and bizarre. And even going forward, to be totally honest with you, I really actually not too sure what to even think of all of it, because it seems so, I don't even know the word to use for it. It's so in depth and detail. It matches so much stuff. It is just beyond bizarre.
Yeah.
To where it's if this, again, these people, I'm not denying that these crimes happen. But if what we're seeing right now, if this isn't a storyline that's just being fed to us, and this dude really did do this stuff, he has to be insane almost, to a point. This had to have taken forever to calculate like this. This is serious. Streets you've lived on, times you've made phone calls, places you've gone. It's just insane how much it actually matches thelemic stuff. That it's you had to be a madman. Beyond, as a magician, way beyond anything I could probably ever conceive. I could never go that serious and that deep to make sure all these things match. But it is just bizarre. So I have to, for me, I don't know. I don't even really know what to think of this case anymore either. I couldn't even really honestly tell you, do I think it's a storyline being fed to us? Is it true? And maybe you'll understand what I'm getting at by the end of this episode. But just to actually make that I guess that disclaimer. I'm not exactly sure after all this. I really don't know what to say. Did the guy do it? Did he really do it? Is it real? Is it not? These are all just theories that I'm just going to, or, things I've got with numbers from gematria. So, it's not 100% evidence, but it's just very, very weird, So I don't know. I really don't know what to think about it anymore. I really don't know what to say. I can't say this guy did it, he didn't do it, or if it's even real. So, all right, so here we're going to start off with some stuff that I had left out that I just thought was worth going over. A few things that was said in the chat that kind of, was things that I wanted to mention. And just, and some of the poems also, because I didn't feel like trying to fit those into other parts of the timeline. I was like, I'll just bang some of them out in the beginning, So yeah, here we go. Theodore Heuermann. I never did, I think, really read his stuff off before. Or I don't think I ran his full name or something. I left something out. You do get 711 in Hebrew gematria. And then in English and simple, you get 1134 and 189. That matches Hillary Rodham. It also matches Nephthys, Big Bang Theory, Rosetta Stone, Assyrian, Zodiac Killer. I thought that was interesting because it was last episode that something was like Zodiac Killer is my dad or something like that, son of Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
So now, like, for Zodiac Killer to pop up, I just thought that was really interesting. Holy Gematria, Fortune Teller, Merry Christmas, X marks the spot, Natural Selection, February 7th, Hidden in Plain Sight, Inherit the Kingdom, Bears, Mark of the Beast, Red Fire Bird Phoenix, February 15th, January 13th, Trust the Science, Lily of the Valley, Friedrich Nietzsche, however you say his name. Then somebody had mentioned in chat that Dolores... Was it somebody had mentioned in chat that Dolores equals palindrome? Is that how we got...
I had seen, that when we did a quick search of Dolores's name, just the name, and it had pulled up palindrome, which reminded me of the whole mitochondrial DNA.
Yes, and I think, I could be wrong. For some reason, I'm thinking Slick Dissident might have mentioned something about palindrome, which is why I wanted to include it, because I do think somebody in chat even mentioned something about palindrome, or like mentioning you have to read backwards, whatever.
Yeah, which is exactly it. I mean, palindrome, you read forwards and backwards, and that mDNA is circular versus our nuclear DNA. So with mitochondrial DNA, you can read it backwards and forwards because it's circular.
Yes.
So it's interesting. And then it's passed down maternally, and Dolores is the mom. So I found that interesting, as well as like the whole belief with Crowley, how he wanted everything to be done backwards.
Wait, and like, you're talking about DNA, right?
I'm talking about mitochondrial DNA, but yes, DNA.
All right, so like, just to point this out.
Go ahead.
Dolores is 299 in Hebrew, and then in English it's 528, and then in simple it's 88. So I mean, you were even getting like DNA there.
Yeah.
With the double
exactly. Well, absolutely, the 8, and just
And palindrome, which is what we're getting to, that matches Dolores in Hebrew for 299. So I did find that, I found that interesting. Yeah. Just wanted to throw that in. I think it was between like what somebody had said in chat and you mentioning this. I was like, we should just at least add it. Then with palindrome, I do find this interesting, even though it's, palindrome does match Dolores at 299, but in Hebrew, the English is 642 and simple is 107. The 642 and the 107 does match Boo to Buddha, which is an Aleister Crowley poem. It's 471, 642, and 107. That matches palindrome. And it also matches Leah Sublime, which is another poem by Aleister Crowley. So even even though Dolores isn't the 290 or whatever it was, it's just weird how like the English did match palindrome, and then that's matching all these.
Yeah. Well, the palindrome going back and forth, and Crowley wanted everything to go backwards, and now it's referring to his poems. I mean, it's really weird. Really odd. Yeah.
Then you have Architect. I did just want to mention that because I think I did have that and just didn't show it or mention it. This guy is an architect, Rex. The Hebrew is 309, and then English is 522, and then the simple I did find interesting, 87. Again, you get the 8, the 7, the bottom part of the tree.
Right.
Epstein and birth date matches the Hebrew. Mm-hmm. Then Dex orders Masonic logic. Found that interesting. Mike Pompeo That's really interesting, actually, to me. He was, right before the election, he was quite the architect on Instagram, having people follow his timed tweets. Do you remember all that? And like, oh, when it hits between 15 minutes of a tweet, that means so-and-so for the Q-tards.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
No, he definitely designed a bunch of stuff for people to follow.
Begotten, which I think I mentioned Begotten because I'm thinking of a weird movie, maybe. So I did highlight that. Hot Dogs, Inpu, which is interesting. Inpu is a god. Bill Gates, and then, in English and Simple, you get Bill Gates, Russia, Omicron, Clinton, the Sun, Elemental, Noah's Ark, 90, Lotus, Gnostic, Easter Egg, Lisa Marie, Cat Turd. Yeah. And then I think I did leave out Gilgo Beach, which I don't know why, because like I really did find it interesting with the Simple. Mm-hmm. First off, the Hebrews 112. That even caught my attention because there is a 112 that does run through Amityville. Gilgo Beach in English then is 414, and then Simple 69. Now, Masonic pillars, you have the keystone at the top, and that normally has the Cancer symbol on there, 69. You know, and in my opinion, that does kind of show you the death and rebirth. You know, in magic, you're going to remove that keystone, you're going to die here and, you know, rebirth into magical land. And so the fact that Gilgo Beach has, you know, the 69 and a bunch of dead people buried there, I was just like, oh. Libra, Book, Gollum, Blair, Mana, and Hood match Hebrew, as well as Hidden Gem, ASCII, which is computer code, Hesed, which is like Chesed without the C. Then in English and Simple, you have Beyonce, Checkmate, Jehovah, Indicated, Atlanta, Texas, The Law, Archangel, Eclipse, Checkmate. Then next, I think I did leave out Elizabeth Ryan's, what was it, Elizabeth Lynn Ryan?
Rose.
Oh, that's right.
Her middle name was Rose.
Oh, yeah, her middle name was Rose, but I think I left out Lynn. Which I do find that very interesting. Rose Crowley had a girl named Rose. So her middle name is Rose too. Lynn, you get 500 in Hebrew, and then the English is 390 and Simple 65. La Gitana.
La Gitana, yeah.
Yes, is a poem by Aleister Crowley, and that matches 390 and 65. Found that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Theodore itself, you get 302 in Hebrew, and then English is 540, and Simple is 90. Just real quick in Hebrew, just to reiterate, it was Lore, Church, the Egg of Doth, Groomer. That was a few matches. But then it also matches in the English and Simple Long Odds, which is another poem by Aleister Crowley. Butterfly, that was a tattoo that was on the back of one of the women. And
Evelyn.
yes, and the English and Simple is 774 and 129. And that matches The Disciples, a poem by Crowley, 774 129.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Maureen Brainard Barnes. That is a 796 for Hebrew, 1218 for English, and then 203 in Simple. That matches Lyric of Love to Leah in the 1218 and the 203 in English, and that is another poem by Crowley. And like, yo, these names aren't even like, oh, well, anybody could be writing in, like, I don't even think Buddha is that easy of a thing to just by accident make up. But like this one and some of the other ones, I'm sorry, it's like, that's just, I don't know. You know, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, you could just type anything in. Nah, I don't think so with this stuff. The ladder, that equals 227 in Hebrew, and then 462 in English, and 77 in simple. Blue, the dog that found the first girl. That was his name, Blue, who was a German Shepherd. His is 227 in Hebrew Gematria as well. Caroline. Now, explain, that was a name that one of them had used, correct, Lisa?
Yes, it was one of the aliases used by Amberlynn Costello.
Okay, yes. That matches the 462 and the 77 of the latter as well. So we get the dog matching the top, no, the Hebrew, and then we get this, Caroline matching the English. And then Maureen even matches the 462 and the 77. Then we have Bartholomew. That is 654 and 109 in English. And that matches Crowley's poem, The Titanic. And the Titanic has been, a topic of interest again recently as well.
Yeah.
This, I just want people to remember. We'll be coming back to it probably in a little bit. Because I think it would be better with the picture, but I ended up having it here anyway. Just A&W root beer. People will be like, what? 846 in English and 141 in simple. And that matches the Neophyte, which is a poem by Crowley, and that's 846 and 141 as well.
Yeah.
German Shepherd. German Shepherd is also 846 and 141. The type of dog Blue was.
Right.
And then July 18 also matches 846 and 141. And not to throw you off, Lisa, because I know
okay.
that's
No
probably
worries.
something on the timeline. Is that a day of a phone call?
No, that is actually Theodore Heuermann's birth date.
So we have a match there with Theodore Heuermann's birth date also matching this as well.
Yeah.
Then we have the Mantra Yoga, which is 888 and 148 in English and simple. That's a poem by Crowley. That matches July 6th, which I have that M&M up there because I think that is a day that fits two of the females, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know?
Yes, it is. Yeah. And, excuse me. Maureen Barnes, the phone call started to Maureen Barnes on July 6th. And then a year later, that was in 2007. And then in 2009, Melissa Bartholomew was also contacted on July 6th as well.
Yes. And then you have the M&M going on again. And then North Carolina. That is, Amber was from North Carolina.
Amberlynn was from North Carolina, yeah.
And that also matches the 888 and 148 for July 6th.
Yeah.
And it also matches mitochondria DNA 888 148. And that is exactly what this case is hanging on to.
Yep.
Mitochondria DNA. If it was not for that, I don't think this would even be an episode right now. Because isn't that how they ended up connecting him?
Yes, that's because they had the DNA and that it was too degraded when they initially recovered it back in whenever they recovered. I think it was not 2010. Yeah, it was 2010.
Yeah, and then they were like, they were able to do this now.
Right. They were like, it's only hair, which nuclear DNA is not prevalent on hair. And then it was too degraded to even do any DNA analysis. So it wasn't until, according to them, this past year that the technology was already now caught up and they could do mitochondrial DNA analysis on the hair follicles. I mean, it's not follicles, the hair shaft. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's why.
So yeah, I mean, that's I think it's a serious match. Then the twins, that is another poem by Crowley, and that would be 708 in English and 118 in simple.
Right.
That matches December 11, which is associated with Melissa that I have here.
Yes.
And do you remember what I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yes.
No, it's okay. December 11th is the day that she was found, and she was the first one that was found.
Gotcha.
By Blue, the German Shepherd.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
See, I mean, that is some really, to me, very weird stuff.
Yeah.
Just me. And now we'll be, I guess, jumping over to the timeline now, correct?
Just a couple of things I wanted to mention.
Sure, go for it.
Some things that we did not mention or whatever that I inserted in here. In the chat, they had mentioned that the letter M was a number 13, and that a majority of all the girls, 3 of the 4 girls had M as their first letter in their first name. But Amberlynn Costello also went by Mia as an alias, so that would make her an M, technically. And then she had the word Margaret, which was the name of her mother, tattooed on her leg, that maybe she went by it or people referred to her by it, so that would be another M. So the number 13 is pervasive throughout this case, and so that was pretty interesting that somebody in chat said that, so we wanted to kind of give a shout out to that.
I mean, this even goes back to, real quick, because I don't want to forget it. And
no, go ahead.
I know I mentioned it last time, but I didn't even think of Amber when I was saying this. You have the 3 M's. You have the MMM. Mm-hmm. That goes along with the OTO. And then you have Amber Costello, AC, Alistair Crowley.
Yeah.
It's just very weird.
Yeah. Who is the writer of the MMM? Yeah. So if you, and so what's neat is that, not neat, but what was interesting is that the first 3 girls that had M in the first letter, they were in sequence, MMM. And then the last girl was AC. So if you were to write it out, it would be MMM-AC, so to speak.
Holy
so
crap.
Yeah. So that was very, weird. Very odd. Very. But just really quickly, I ran Rex's middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And his alias that he used, and I'm just gonna rattle it off, not anything, whatever. But so his middle name is Andrew, and that pinged off several interesting results. One of them being the Pythagorean theorem in Babylon. Those are 2 separate. And if you were to draw points from his house to the storage facility and down to the Gilgo Beach where the girls were found, you get like a triangle or an isosceles triangle. And isosceles triangles were heavily studied by mathematicians in Babylonian times. So I thought that was really, really interesting that it would ping Babylon. And then Babylon also being associated with one of where the girls lived. If you were to take a point of Rex's house and then kind of make a point where he picked up the girls and then come back down to where the Gilgo Beach, that is also another isosceles triangle, but in the center of it would be the town of Babylon. So that was also another interesting thing that also...
Oh, and then wasn't there also something about, you said there was 17 miles or something to Gilgo Beach?
Yes, and so that was another thing.
Which blew me, I think that was like, now I have to remember to show the Gilgo Beach, the 69.
Right.
Because in my opinion, if that's cancer, that actually matches, my opinion.
Right.
That whole thing.
Yeah. The so Theodore Joseph Heuermann, which is Rex's dad, is buried at the Long Island National Cemetery, which located at 2040 Wellwood Avenue in Farmingdale. If you were to take from Rex's house to the cemetery and take Broad Hollow Road, it would be a distance of 7 miles with a drive time of 17 minutes. But if you were to take Wellwood to Southern State Street, it is 9. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Parkway.
It is not.
Sorry, I know because I live out here.
No, that's why I looked at you, because I was like, I don't know if I'm saying it. Yeah. It's a distance of 9.3 miles, 93. Or a 15-minute drive.
But you toss a 0 in the middle, you get his address, 105.
You get his address, 105, right? So I thought that was pretty peculiar.
Wasn't there something, though, where it was almost 17 miles from, like, his house to Gilgo Beach?
Yes. So let me pull that up.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're totally fine.
Because I really think that like helps with the whole Gilgo being cancer in 6'9".
Yes. So it was, yes. If you were to take, have it right here. If you were to take, Wantagh, which we will talk about later, if you were to take, Wantagh, Street or State Highway,
Yeah, Wantagh
right?
Parkway, yeah.
It would be a distance of 17 miles from his 105 First Avenue, Massapequa Park address.
That
So
is
another
bugged out.
17.
So from his house to that area is 17 miles, and then you have a bunch of, unfortunately, dead people there. I have said over and over again, I do think 17 can include death.
Right.
It's destroying beast-like energy, in my opinion. It's like a live electrical wire. There can be. So to me, this all makes sense. I see it as as an occultist. So yeah.
And then the thing was, going back to the whole 7 of it all, is the search for Heuermann's house ended in July of 25th of July. And if you were to break those numbers down, you get 777. So
777 is a book by Crowley.
Right.
Just be wary of that when you see 777 on things. It may not necessarily be what you're thinking. It may not be an angel number. It could be a reference to a Crowley book.
Right. And then real quickly on the whole Andrew thing, I got Son of Aquarius, which was Amber Costello. She was an Aquarius. Her birthday was on February 10th. Shroud of Turin, wrapping of the bodies in burlap, especially the head, because the heads were wrapped.
Oh, yeah.
It also pinged Dennis for Dennis Rader. BTK, he's back in the news talking about how
we'll be mentioning that too.
It pinged Lynn, which is Amber Costello's middle name, and Baldwin, which Billy Baldwin went to school with him. One of the other things was Andy, which is the handle that he used on Tinder, Craigslist, and Backpage. It pinged Elon Musk, Sex Magic, the Queen Bee, which was Melissa, and I believe Slick and Branch had mentioned Melissa as being the name of the Queen Bee. Yes. And another thing was Andy, the name Andy pinged tear, the word tear, like, crying tear.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And so, and we'll talk about that later if you want, with article and stuff like that. But, and then Magic with a K, Chesed, and then Kabbalah and Nude Raped. So that's pretty much it.
That's a lot of
associations.
Yes, I think. Mm-hmm. All right, I did forget we were going to do just a few news articles before we went to your timeline. Totally forgot. My bad. But as you can see, I changed the screen. Since the last episode, we have finally got to see pictures of them. Unfortunately, I can't really tell what she's got in her hand there. But you do see them dressed. I did find it interesting that they were all basically either red, blue, or green. They all kind of have a relationship with each other on the tree. You would go from green to red and then blue. I don't know, but I just found that very interesting. How that's basically all they're wearing. Does that mean anything? Who knows? The maiden would also fall on the green sphere. Who knows? This is them again. Just a few pictures of them. There they are again. Different shirt now. I mean, I find interesting. That's very much like, the Twin Peaks floor. Very Aquarius symbol like. Could it be a stretch? I don't know. And then you have this one, which is where I got the A&W root beer from. This is them crossing the street. First of all, she's got a cane in her hand, which I even question. I mean, could the shape of that even mean something? But the A&W root beer, for some reason, it made me run it. And again, remember before, it did match the neophyte from Crowley. And here we also have it in 1318 in Hebrew. Flip the switch, blue jays, a great sword, 2 horns, twin flames of God. Last episode and this episode, you were constantly going to see twins again. So that even makes me wonder, are we hitting something correct? Because we're constantly seeing twins. Right. It also matches Age of Aquarius. I was just saying his sister's shirt looks like an Aquarius. False Prophet, I Am the Storm, King of Diamonds, Morrissey, Barbara Walters, Tribulation, Purgatory, Here's Johnny, Looking Glass now, and these are all simple. These are all English and simple. Looking Glass, 7 Day Fast, My Twin Flame, Ken, RH Positive, Purification, Frazzle Drip, The Addams Family, 218, and Stephen Paddock, Paris Hilton, Riding the Beast, Water Element, Number of the Beast, Son and the King. Tell me that ain't freaking weird. Because Rex, it translates to king, and he's this. I mean, technically, I don't know. It's not his son, is it?
It's a stepson.
Yeah, but still, that's weird.
But still, right. And he's wearing blue.
Yes. That is another thing. The king, too, would also, that, in my opinion, would fall around Chesed. Around the blue sphere on the Tree of Life as well. So.
Right. And Andy pinged Chesed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
October 11th, December 19th, June 11th, Anglo-Saxons, plutonium. Is plutonium what they used in Back to the Future?
I don't think so.
Oh, there was something that I can't remember. Because there is some Back to the Future things I have noticed.
There is there is a lot of pinging on the Back to the Future.
Yeah. Amun-Ra, Egypt, wisdom teeth. Now, I found this interesting because in the last episode on the premiere, we did have people going on about wisdom, tooth, and stuff with the gematria and certain symbolism. And now here we go. Now we got wisdom teeth. I think somebody even questioned, could this be meaning wisdom teeth or wisdom tooth? So when I saw that, I was like, yo, I got to highlight that one and mention it. July 18 comes up. I have a mark next to that. I'm pretty sure that was...
that is Theodore's birthday.
There you
Theodore Heuermann, the dad. Just real quick, I was wrong. Yes, plutonium was used in the DeLorean.
That's what I thought, right?
To fuel the onboard nuclear reactor. The vehicle traveled 88 miles an hour.
Dolores and DeLorean.
There you go. There you go. And the 88.
I'm done.
That's pretty good.
I'm done podcasting.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's weird. All right. Come As You Are, Nirvana again. Julie Andrews, I Am the Storm, Lisa Presley, Haunted House, Bill Russell, Dies Suddenly, Chuck Missler, Dion Fortune. I found that interesting. She wrote books and she was in the Golden Dawn. Yeah. I Am the Great One, Keeper of Keys, Harvey Keitel, Miranda writes. It was just a reminder, and I already mentioned it earlier, but a month after her disappearance, the Suffolk County Police Department's Missing Persons Bureau asked Officer John Malia to search for Gilbert with his trained cadaver dog, a German Shepherd named Blue. German Shepherd, 423-846-141. 423 equals coronation. Then I have April 10th. And I have that highlighted. I'm pretty sure that's for a specific... that is... the third day of the Book of the Law. I know that. So that may have been why I highlighted it. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
R.C. Christian. I found that interesting. Bringer of Light. Californication. California Action. Occasion, whatever. Shaquille, American Airlines, 1 in 8 billion, Decode Amun-Ra, Green Lantern, The Hidden Eighth Chakra, Commandments, Three Dog Night, Cuneiform, Sheep No More, Age of Aquarius, False Prophet, I Am the Storm, King of Diamonds, again, because it does match other things, Looking Glass, 7 Day Fast, My Twin Flame. And then you have July 18. Again, I know I mentioned this earlier. That matches 846 and 141.
Right.
Root beer. 588.98 in English. And then the Hebrew is 372. 372 equals Rothschild, Tartaria, Alien, Contact, Pubic Hair, Behold the Lamb of God, Hecate Goddess, Rothschilds, King of Spades. And a lot of cards coming up in tarot as well. Also matches now in English and Simple, Istanbul, Proton, Tom Brady, Prophet, Alpha, and Omega. Matches that.
Omega, the self-storage, yeah.
Yes. Garden of Eden, 8-8. Matches 8-8. 5-3, Lazarus, Democrats, Angel of Death, 5 Iron, Damar Hamlin, May 3rd, Dr. Pepper, and Python.
Wow.
Typhon also matches root beer. Typhon is an Egyptian god. He's also mentioned in the LVX formula. And that would match 88. Python, Hecate's fountain, Boa Constrictor, Sulfur. Just wanted to add that in there. Notorious BTK killer Dennis Rader says Gilgo Beach suspect Rex Heuermann is a clone of me. And I was like, yo, what? I just found that interesting because BTK in Simple is 33. So could he actually just be telling the truth? Yeah, he might be a clone of him. Just another Mason. And 112, which I think we mentioned earlier, which I now I've totally forgot what it was. Damn it. That did mention something that because I said it reminded me of the street. That does match Libra, Book, Gollum, Decades, Blair, and Hood. Hidden Gem, ASCII, Hesed, Geese. Yeah, I did read these, and I don't know if I remember that they matched. Now, in English and Simple, that's Amen, Magic with no K, Sam, Banana, Gate, Pie, KKK, NPC, Seed, Peach, it's close to Peaches, Barack,
yes.
Jinn. And then here we go with blue again. I did mention the dog, 227, 240, and 40. The 227 also matches the LA Lakers, the Hidden Child, Liberals. Then in English and Simple, it does match Megan. It was one of the victims.
One of the girls, yeah.
Fauci, Xana, who is somebody from now the Idaho 4.
Interesting.
Matches Kabbalah with a K, Indica. I had to throw in the Indica, But yeah, that is the end of just like the stuff that was like from the news articles. I found it just interesting that they show pictures and the A&W root beer matches weird stuff like that.
Right.
Again, the dog matches weird stuff. BTK coming out and saying something, I thought the 33 was just interesting and totally didn't even realize that.
Extremely.
I just read something 5 minutes ago that I forgot that matched the 112.
Right. And then the fact that Theodore matches Zodiac Killer. You know what I mean? BTK and then Zodiac Killer. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then I think you had mentioned to me the BTK matches Hood. And I think you had Hood for an earlier result.
Oh, well, and how was the Zodiac Killer at one point portrayed?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I've said multiple times, I question if that Hood was like an Astrum Argentum Hood.
Correct.
Or representing or just, something off that, like a play off that.
Speaking of secret societies, Heuermann, the last name equals Golden Dawn. So, and we had
Dion Fortune,
that she was an author and adopted most of the practices of the Golden Dawn. So it's, and then that all pinged back to the A&W root beer. So that's, it's just all layered on top of each other. The neophyte, yeah. So, yeah, and I think the other thing was Rex's birthday is the day that Layla passed away, which was one of Crowley's girls.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I'm sure we'll end up probably getting more into that in the third one. But, yeah. So now we're going to go into the phone calls now, right? Like the call logs and stuff?
Yes, call logs. Just want to make sure that I got all that. Yes. Okay. Just a second.
Yeah, not a problem.
Set myself up here. Okay.
Oh, can you do me a favor while you're doing that? Can you write down like 17 and 41 And then, because I thought I don't have my fucking pen next to me.
No, you're
Because that's like areas that I think I'm going to have to edit.
17 and 41.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
What, 17? Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, go ahead.
So going on to the timeline, this is basically what has been published and cross-referenced by different articles and news articles. So, and it's basically the call logs and the tracing of those calls. So we're going to start off with Maureen Brainerd Barnes, lived in Norwich, Connecticut. And the call started to her from a burner phone on July 6th of 2007 and went all the way into July 9th of 2007. There was a total of 16 interactions between Bernard Barnes' phone and a burner phone. On July 9th of 2007, that was Maureen's last trace from her phone call. And it was traced to Midtown Manhattan on 59th Street Bridge at 11:56 p.m. Then on July 12th of 2007, there were 2 outbound calls made on Maureen's phone that checked voicemail, and they were traced near Long Island Expressway in Islandia. Is that how you say it? Islandia?
Yeah, actually, you said that.
New York.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that was it for Maureen.
That's even even the whole LIE and us even saying that in the third one we're going into the Book of Lies. It's just like, what the
Yeah.
The Long Island Expressway. Everybody on Long Island calls it the LIE. Lie.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So here we go. For July 12th, this is for Maureen.
Mm-hmm.
You have you get 2950 in Hebrew, and you get 930 in English and 155 in simple. The 930 and the 155 also matches West Warwick. Kind of jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but that is an address that he lived at, somewhere that he lived.
Yes.
July 12th, 972 and 162 for English and simple. The English and simple matches Let That Sink In. I think we've seen that before. Son of Saturn. Last President, High Priestess. I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
January 1st and 11/13. I will even be coming back to how the High Priestess will match something. Purple Shirt, 214, 808, True Prophet, Southampton. It's interesting. I was just out there yesterday. Out to George Soros' house. Oh, no, 2 days ago, sorry. Family Reunion and Charlie's Theron. I was like, okay. September 3rd, the Vatican Dragon, Identical Twins, again twins, King Antichrist, Sun Worship, Queen of Diamonds now, Lucius Trust, and that also matches The Four Winds, which is another poem by Crowley,
Right.
which is 972 and 162. The High Priestess, though, like I said before, was High Priestess. And I said I was going to come back to something that equals the High Priestess. Right. The High Priestess does equal North Brunswick, which is another area that he lived in.
Yes.
And then July 9th, I think that was something to do with actually 2 of the girls, technically, right?
Yes. July 9th was, it was phone calls made, which basically in 2007, one of the phone calls was made to Maureen July 9th. And then 2 years later in 2009, another phone call was made to Melissa Bartholomew 2 years later on July 9th.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The Hebrew gematria on this is 1314, and then there's English 660, and then 110 for simple. The 1314 you get Yahweh, Let It Snow, May 11th, the swastika, the 7 stars, Mother of Jesus, the twin flames, Triumvirate. The only reason I'm even mentioning that is because it is a company in Astoria, and there's a lot of weird stuff with Astoria and the OTO. 7 minutes. Elon Musk, in English and simple, Elon Musk, Adolf Hitler, President, Starship. Elon Musk, one word together. Rockefeller, Donnie Darko, 70, Dance Monkey. And the 660 and the 110 also match Asa Ellerup. That I find weird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I forgot to mention really quickly. I don't think do you have Asa on there in terms of gematria?
Yeah, I just have the Hebrew in front of me.
Okay.
I may go back to her later on. I don't know.
She also pinged Star because you brought up Starship. She pinged Starship also.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, which I thought was weird.
And yeah, because she does share the 660 and the 110. That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Asa Ellerup, you have it does match that as well. Then July 9th, I do two different spellings, and that's the M and the M again.
Yeah.
That does, you get All Eyes on Me, 48, Nancy Pelosi, The Red Goddess, God Bless America, Sunflower, White House, Julian Assange, Terminator, Little Horn, Kris Kringle, Buzz Aldrin, Savior of Man, King of Hearts, another card, Mason Wells, Twin Soul, and North Star. And then did that, I have North Reading, and that matches North Reading in simple gematria, which is another place he lived.
Right.
July 6th, which does match two of the women. You get the 888s and 148. And that does get Donald J. Trump, simple gematria, Spirit Birth, Morning Star, Jewish gematria, December 7th, Tyre Nichols, English gematria, Nuclear Weapon. And again, that matches North Carolina, which is Amber from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That matches mitochondria DNA. I know I'm repeating myself, and I just want to show how all these things come back to each other.
Right.
It also matches the Freemasons, 888-148. And then 888, even though it's not in English, it's up at Hebrew. That does match prostitution.
Yeah.
And then the Lion of Judah also equals 888 and 148. But the Lion of Judah also equals, now if you take out the and just put Lion of Judah, that equals 690 and 115. And that was something I might have actually mentioned before, but also matches Columbia Street, which is a street that Rex lived on. And then, all right, July 3rd, I'm getting ahead of myself. That is for Melissa, so I think we can go back to you. And I will go to the next slide. Here we go.
Okay. So, and the reason I brought up Asa is because Asa plays into this timeline, and they overemphasize how Asa is not involved. Asa wasn't in town. Asa was out of, the state or the country. And it plays into the timeline, hence why I brought her up interjectively. Okay, so Melissa, on July 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, and the 10th, Melissa was contacted by a burner phone. On July 8th, Asa Ellerup leaves to Iceland. On July 10th, Melissa is last seen in New York City. A burner phone was traced to Massapequa Park and Midtown Manhattan. Melissa's phone was also traced to Midtown Manhattan, then to Massapequa on the same, I guess they
on the 10th.
Go over it that it was about the same time frame on the 10th of July.
Okay, real quick, if you don't mind, let me just do the 3rd and the 10th, and then I think, all right, so the 3rd, July 3, for Melissa. You get 1418 in Hebrew, 744 in English, and 124 in simple. In the English and simple, that is Lord of Love, Simpsons, The Phoenix, Oppenheimer, Coronation, Midnight Blue, Jeffrey Dahmer, Judgment Day again. Yeah. We've gotten Judgment Day and Judgment a bunch of times with these women.
Yes.
especially in the same thing for the Idaho 4 chicks. It's very weird. Son of Satan, Tower of Babel, the Aeon of Mott, New Jersey, Lighthouse, the Lion King, Five of Wands. I think he's also lived in New Jersey at one point.
He has an address there.
Led Zeppelin, Rocket Ship, James Woods, Polar Shift, The Walking Dead, White Dragon, Isaac Newton, I'm Coming Home, Photograph, and The Lovers. The Lovers is a tarot card as well.
Right.
July 3rd, and here in English and simple, you get Wrestling, Retirement, Divine Mercy, Vatican City, Mount Everest, Politicians, Armistice Day, Mesopotamia, Pillow of Fire, Rainbow Bridge, Blue Lotus, getting back to the blue stuff again, St. Peter, and Jack Parsons.
Jack Parsons.
Fifth column, Kappa Alpha Pi, It's My Key. You have a lot of keys come up too. It's just like the last episode. And Demon Contact. Assassinate, Apotheosis, DNS Lord Key, The Tribe of Dan, The Star Child, The 12th, King Cyrus, The Third Eye, Polar Prince, Scarborough, which there is a place I think it's like a restaurant / fair. Scarborough is in New Jersey. It's a place in New Jersey. And interesting enough, it is very much next to the water and very typical to like Gilgo Beach. I looked it up because I was like, I've heard of Scarborough. Isn't that in New Jersey? Photon Belt. Then with July 10, you get 1365 in Hebrew, 642, which I actually find that interesting. That's very much like, kind of like continuing, in my opinion, like the heroes rise. You know, right. You'd have 8642, I think is the whole thing. And then you get 107 in simple. It's funny before how, remember, I think 12th came up. Uh-huh. Now July 10, you get 12th planet. It equals that in Jewish Shmach. I thought that was weird.
That's crazy.
Silver Surfer, throat chakra activated. Then in English and simple, you get King Charles, Aquarius, the Greys, the Egg of Mu, an Obsidian Egg. I mean, honestly, Aquarius stuff and egg stuff is a common also.
Yeah, in this case, for sure.
The Cross, the Egg of Doth, Star Sign, the Hand of God, Ring of Fire, Nickelodeon, Sunwheel, and Bloodlines. The 107 does come back to Palindrome again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, very weird. And then just a reminder, even though I was on the 107 for the simple matching Palindrome, again, Dolores does match to 299. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth also matches 88 again with Dolores, which is very interesting. And it also, 88 also, besides Dolores and Elizabeth, it also matches A Birthday, which is another poem by Crowley. So those two technically actually have that in common. Okay, and then back to you. Sorry.
Okay. So on July 11th, 2009, at 1:43 a.m., one outbound call is made to Melissa Bartholomew's phone, and it's to check her voicemail, and it's traced near Freeport. Later that day, on July 11, 2009, and then the next day, July 12th, 2009, two outbound calls are made on Melissa's phone, again, to check voicemail, but this time traced to Babylon. Then on July 17th, 2009, July 23rd, August 5th, August 19th, and August 26th of 2009, a man called Melissa's family or family members on Melissa's phone. So Melissa had her cell phone on her, and whoever it was kept her phone and used that phone to call Melissa's family. And on the phone, according to family members, he admits to killing and sexually assaulting Melissa, and then that's traced to Midtown Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah. So Megan Waterman, on July 5th of 2010, so the next year, Megan is contacted by a newly activated burner phone. So just let me say this. According to the bail application, each girl had their own separate burner phone. Every time that he contacted a new girl, it was on a brand new burner phone. And I believe that burner phone was not used for another girl.
That's what I have seen and heard myself too.
Yeah. It's just FYI on that. So yes, June 5th, 2010, Megan's contacted by a newly activated burner phone. Then on June 6th, continued communication occurred between Megan and the burner phone. Surveillance video has Megan leaving the Holiday Inn in Hauppauge.
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 That's what's crazy is like I know where these places are too. It's like so weird. It's like,
weird.
I know what that building looks like. I've drove past it like 1,000 times.
That's the one that if you were to draw from Rex's house to Hauppauge and then down to Gilgo, that you get that triangle. That also another isosceles triangle.
Yeah, that's like right near the expressway.
Yeah. So the phone is traced to Massapequa Park in the vicinity of Heuermann's house at 3:11 a.m. So before that, remember we talked about, okay, so Megan was contacted on June 5th. Asa had left to Maryland on June 4th. So the day before Asa leaves, burner phones contact Megan on June 5th. And then obviously the last trace of her is on June 6th. And then Asa returns home on June 8th. So just thought that I'd throw that in there since everybody's talking about Asa's whereabouts.
Yeah. And she was never around.
Yeah.
But that's like a thing real quick before I get into it. Like, I wonder, like, how are they, like, saying that they know for a fact that this woman was where she was supposed to be at?
I said the same thing.
Like, how is there actual proof?
Yeah, somebody could take in her phone. I mean, and I'm assuming they did due diligence and they looked at, credit card records or, she appeared on some, hotel camera.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, is there actual, like, physical proof to even prove that this person was where she said she was?
That I know of, I'm only going based on what is reported. And the fact that most of the hair found on the girls was Asa's. I'm not saying it was Asa.
Because if it's just based on cell phone tracing, like, that doesn't mean jack shit to me.
Well, and they're basing a lot of their data on cell phone tracing with Rex.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if they're doing the same with her to figure out where she was, like,
right?
Really?
I mean, how easy is it that you take somebody else's cell phone with you?
Exactly.
Just take my cell phone with you.
The guy's got burners.
I know. Yeah. No, that's very true.
Let me pull up my dates now.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
July 5th, that equals 974, 594, and 99. 974 in Hebrew, that is Rodney King riots. June 8th, Olive Tree. Pure Zodiac Code. Again, something with Zodiac. Then the English in simple, you get Jupiter. 13, Evergreen, The Egg of Lamb, Fortune, Judgment again, New Moon, Albert Pike, Golden Dawn, Pale Horse, Olive Oil, and that also does match 594 and 99 also matches Heuermann in English in simple.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
But let me tell you something real quick with Megan in that she was born in 1988, the 88 again. And then the place where Holiday Inn Express is, it's 23 miles away from where her body was found. And then there were 3 hairs recovered from Megan, which is one of the girls that had the most hair on her of evidence. One was found around her head, one was in the burlap, and one was caught between the tape. used to bind her. I believe those hairs were of Asa's. They traced them back to Asa. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So June 6th, then you also get 1352, and then 780 and 130 in English in simple. 1352, you will get the Gemini twins. The Divine Phoenix, more Phoenix. Twitch Boss. White Sun, We Are Stars, Star of Woman. I think we have had Star Child before as well.
Yes.
English in simple for the 780 and 130, you will get Pythagoras, Purple Rain, 10 Phoenix, Pythagorean, Saint Germain, the Serpent, White Horse, Skull Bones, Human Sacrifice, Django Unchained, The Son of Man, Archangel Raphael, The Secret Code, Grand Display, $8, May 11th, and Post Malone. And White Stains, a poem by Crowley, equals the 1352. So now you have a poem matching that date.
Okay. So Amberlynn Costello, she appears in almost every search. There's some sort of association to her, with her, about her, everything and anything. I found that very peculiar. So I'm just going to read off September 1st. Amberlynn Costello was contacted by a burner phone. That burner phone was traced to West Amityville and Massapequa Park and received calls around 11:33 p.m. and 11:34 p.m. That burner phone traveled to West Babylon, where Amber Costello lived.
All right, yeah, I'll do this September 1st now real quick.
Okay.
All right, so for September 1st, we have 662 in Hebrew and then 1050 and 175 in English in simple. 662, you get the Fourth Reich, Astronaut, Zenith, Olympics, Pfizer, God's Army, Hyundai, All Fool's Day, Skull and Bones, Alexis Smith, the North Star, the Scarlet Goddess, Trump Coins, Non-Binary, Sedona Phoenix, Dissolution, and then in 1050 and 175 for the English in simple, you get 77, A Storm is Coming, Lee Harvey Oswald, Misinformation, Man in the Mirror, Jupiter Ascending, Anakin Skywalker, Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then September 1 for 472 Hebrew, and then 822 English and 137 in simple. The Hebrew, you get Phoenix again, Game of Thrones, Samuel Adams, The Secret Name, Scorpions, Knights of Malta, the Star Card, I Am the Creator, Dragon Bloodlines, Sun God Ra, Bornless One, which is another thing that is associated with Crowley. Then the 822 and 137, you get Vincent Fusca, Eye of Horus, Anthony Fauci, Great Pyramid, Mind Control, Toilet Paper, Anonymous, Earth Twins, Your Father, Butterflies, The Crossing, Raise the Keys, Santa Muerte, Lucky Seven, Zoroaster, The Queen is Dead. So that was a lot of, I just think, weird ones worth mentioning.
Which those will end up popping up later again and again and again. Yeah. September 2nd, 2010, Amber was contacted by a burner phone at 12:05 a.m. The client gave Amber money, and then another man storms in pretending it's her boyfriend. He's outraged. Client leaves Amber's home and tells the boyfriend, I'm just a friend, and tell her I'll give her a call. Boyfriend gives a description of the client. So this is kind of one of the things that I guess incriminated or led them to look at Rex as one of the suspects, is that the boyfriend gives a description of the client man, and the description was he's a large white male, 6'4", 6'6", mid-40s, dark bushy hair, big oval 70s glasses, and he drove away in a first-generation Chevy Avalanche.
I find the 6'4", 6'6", at least you get the 3 6s out of that,
Yeah. And then that later in an hour at 1:18 a.m., Amber receives a text message from the burner phone that contacted her stating that wasn't so nice. Do I get credit for next time? Burner phone is then traced to Massapequa Park within 2 minutes of the sent text message. Amber contacts that client on that at that same number later that same day, and the client says he doesn't want to come back to the house because of the boyfriend. Amber's contacted by burner 4 times between 9:30 p.m. and 11:17 p.m.
At 93.
Yeah, no, and then 17. Burner is traced to Midtown Manhattan, then Massapequa Park, and then West Babylon. So it's in that order. And then Amber leaves her phone behind at her home, and witness claimed that a dark-colored truck passed through the house coming in the direction that Amber had walked towards. That's all I got for September 2nd.
Pull mine up. September 2nd, I get 569 for Hebrew and 978 and 163 in English. 569 in Hebrew equals smiley face. That was interesting. Purple light, Linux, Mount Sinai, which there is a Mount Sinai in Long Island as well. The Book of Creation, American Prophet, Jeffrey Epstein, Alice in Wonderland, Train Derailment, Ancient Egypt, The White Horse, The King is Coming. Talking about Rex. Fox News Channel is now for English. Yeah, that was English, sorry, from Jeffrey Epstein on. And then continuing in English, Fox News Channel, Box of Chocolates, Eyes Wide Shut, April 20, Jeffrey Epstein, Timberwolves, River Phoenix, Prostitute. Also. So I find that, yeah. You even get, I mean, you know, I hate to say it, but.
No, and then you said Alice in Wonderland, which is the whole backwards thing all over again. Right.
Yeah, and even honestly, Alice in Wonderland syndrome is very close to ayahuasca to me. So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then Asa comes back September 5th. So that basically is the end of the Gilgo 4, their timeline and what happens. Gotcha. So fast forward to December of that year, December 11th, 2010, Suffolk County PD officer John Malia and K9 Blue are conducting a training exercise along Gilgo Beach roadway. Blue finds a set of human remains belonging to Melissa Barthélemy. And this whole training exercise, I think, was kicked off by another girl that went missing a month prior to Shannon Gilbert, who is not associated with the 4, but is also part of the 11 bodies recovered or remains that were recovered along that whole case. So, and then did you want to do December 11th?
Actually, all this is all really you. I don't have.
Okay, no, that's fine. And then December 13th, PD finds remains of 3 additional women, 4 bodies recovered. So in here, this is kind of where I get into the DNA stuff very briefly, and then I did a quick rundown of DNA. So all 4 bodies are recovered. They're examined by forensic scientists and the Suffolk County Crime Lab. A female's hair separate from the victim's was found on 3 of the 4 bodies. Then a male's hair was found on 1 of the 4 bodies. The hair was unsuitable for further DNA analysis at the time, and therefore we fast forward to the next slide, which is the current evidence used to tie Heuermann. So on this one, just very briefly, this is what leads me into the mitochondrial haplogroup, and I ran a quick gematria thing on that. July 31st of 2022, a male's hair was recovered in 2010 and submitted for DNA analysis, and it belonged to the male mitochondrial haploid group V7A. And so I ran V7A through Google and all that other stuff, So haploid group, it's kind of a rare haploid group. It occurs like in 4% of Native Europeans, highest concentration in German, Scandinavia, Slavic. But V7A pinged off in gematria Mia, which was one of the aliases used for Amber Lynn Costello.
That's wild.
It also, Kane was one of the results, which was pictured with Asa as she was leaving the attorney office.
With the cane, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember I even said something about that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just even the symbol of it to me is just like very
odd.
Or like Jupiter, Saturn, like, and just, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
And she's, wearing green and black. Right.
Yeah.
It also pinged chrysalis, which is the butterfly pupa. So it's the in-between stage between when it's in the cocoon, it's transforming or metamorphosing into a butterfly. And Amber had a butterfly tattoo. It also pinged Apollyon. And Apollyon we see in Revelation 9, which Revelation 9 comes up in other searches for this case. But yeah, so Apollyon is the king of the angel of the abyss. And they talk about it during the blowing of the fifth trumpet. And in that Revelations 9:11, they go in to talk about the key to the abyss. And the key will also show up. I think you mentioned the key before, and it's going to continue to show up in other things as well. With the female hair recovered, same thing. Female hair recovered was found on Melissa, Megan, and Amber. And that was found throughout their body. The one, especially like Megan, she found it in her head, in the body, and then in the tape. So when I ran it through gematria, it pinged off CIA and a B for Melissa.
Again, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then 105, which is the address, their address, the Heuermann address.
Yeah, 105 First Avenue, Massapequa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have it in my ways.
Yes.
That's another thing too. I mean, I guess we'll get to it, but across the street is also associated with him when they start looking at the addresses that he was at. And I don't think I heard anything about it. I don't know.
Right.
What's up with that?
And so the rest of the stuff I just included as a timeline. I didn't do any gematria results on any of that, but just basically to kind of give us a guideline, like in terms of, he used the name Andy for his Tinder account. I did the quick search, which I covered earlier, and that he was also searching for serial killers, which that also comes up in some of these results that of the serial killers that are associated. I think he was looking to see if there was any link between the bodies that were being found to the serial killers that were already arrested.
Gotcha.
As well. But one thing I will say is that it seems like the hair evidence that they recovered, their DNA was analyzed by different labs because it was sent to different labs, which I found peculiar because now you're increasing the rate for human error. So the more times you send samples off, the higher the probability for error, which I found kind of peculiar that they would have done something like that.
Well, maybe it gives them a choice to just pick whichever answer they like as well. If there's if there's a difference.
Maybe.
That is interesting. Real quick, just because you mentioned it before, and I figured, it's only a few compared to other slides that I've showed. I'm going to show this real quick because, again, you were talking about the key, and we were talking about Wantor.
Absolutely.
I did run Wantor this time, and it's 1057 in Hebrew, and then 444 in English, and 74 in simple. In Hebrew, you get fake news, divine bloodline, savior of man, Isis is goddess of eternal life and death, staged event, and war pig. Then in the 444 and 74 for English and simple, you get Jesus, Lucifer, Messiah, Aurora, Masonic, nuclear, and the key. The key. Tarot also. And I mentioned before, I do think I've seen a lot of tarot in running this stuff, so like his, I don't know. The Omega. The King. Rex is king. Occult. 80. Red Bull. DeLorean. Raiders. Hand of God. Queen Bee. Bee again. Salmon. Sloth. Graphene. Hexagon. Atum Ra. And Blue Tie. Blue. Holiday. Red Kachina, which is really interesting. Remember that one. Element in New Life. And the 44 and 74 also match 444. 74 on the English and simple for pupil. And pupil does match focus, which, if I remember correctly, isn't that also a tattoo?
Yes. Yeah.
Hyaloid even matches the 444 and the 74 as well.
Yes.
And then I have Dolores Cannon. Dolores. Hate to go back to her, but again, she just happens to match something else that I thought was interesting. Remember, I said Red Kachina before. Dolores in 299 also matches Blue Kachina. That's weird to me. I don't know, very weird. Black Hole, Mithra, Mayday, False Flag, Jasper, Griffin, Knight, Venom.
Yeah.
And then Wanto again, the 1057, also matches 1083, which is a birthday to one of them.
Yeah, Amber.
Amber's birthday. Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, back to you.
The going back to your Wonton,
Yes.
just really quickly, because I think we said it, but I forgot to say this other part. So just to kind of reiterate, from Rex's house at 105, if you take Wantagh State Park, it's 17 miles and a 7-minute drive. Or I'm sorry, 17 miles from Rex's house to Gilgo Beach.
Yes.
If you were to take Southern State Parkway, it's a 33-minute drive. So I thought that was.
See, again,
something.
like, I just find it weird with the 17, the 69, the Wanto.
Yeah. And with Wantagh, I think we had talked about that, yes, Tiffany comes up. Tiffany was Megan's alias, Queen Bee, Melissa, like you said. Juliana with a G comes up, and that was Maureen's alias, but she used a J.
That's right.
And then one thing that I saw on the Wantagh for 1057 in Hebrew was a Spanish phrase called El Lugar de los Muertos, which means the place of the dead. So I thought that was pretty.
See, I didn't even know that.
Freaky.
I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's all I have for Wantagh.
All right. Is there anything you have more slides you're going to?
No, that was pretty much it in terms of timeline. But just real quick, in terms as a sidebar,
Sure.
Theodore, going back to Theodore Heuermann, like I said, just really quickly, Theodore Heuermann apparently built satellites according to Rex, right? That he was a aerospace engineer of some sort.
Yes, and that he worked for Grumman too.
Yeah, and that's kind of just a blip. Just he worked for Grumman, and like you had mentioned,
I remember that. I remember that because the guy across the street from where I lived when I was a kid worked for Grumman, and he ended up losing his job at some point, and my father ended up getting him a job where he worked. But like,
right.
I remember that guy even telling me like they worked on like secret shit. You needed special passes, background checks. It was even to the point to where the guy across the street even said like they don't even technically like. They could be working on something and they really have no idea what the hell it is, or what. Like you're not going to be able to recreate anything on your own except for what you're doing.
Right.
You know, it's very like that, and you know, I find that interesting. It's technically kind of working for the government.
And I found that interesting too because he died in November of 29th, but he was in the Air Force, second lieutenant, World War II veteran, all of that, and he worked according to Rex, that he was an aerospace engineer. So if he was an aerospace engineer, the only one that I know of or that I found was Grumman, and that was located in Long Island, like you had said. And there was an article in 1974 that they were doing mass layoffs. I think they laid off like 1,000 in the middle of 1974, and they were looking to lay off a lot more as well. One of the things that I thought was pretty interesting is that they were involved in, the B-2 stealth bomber. They're responsible for the Apollo lunar module, ballistic missiles, James Webb Telescope here currently. But that there was something going on with the whole aerospace, and that if he passed away in 1975 at 50, it's not to say that, it was I don't know what it was, but it's just very interesting. There were mass layoffs happening right around the time of his death. So I don't know if maybe he lost his job and there was something to do with that. And then remember the whole Rex keeping that house as a shrine to his dad. Yeah. So I don't know if something happened in that maybe set him off that way. But that was all I wanted to say about that.
Awesome. Oh, no, good. No, I thought that was actually interesting when you mentioned to me that he worked for Grumman. Because I was like, that was like, like you're designing stuff for the government, like fighters and bombers.
It was a government contract for sure. Yeah. I mean, they work with DARPA, so that was another one too. So right.
That's interesting. DARPA in itself. I didn't run all of them, or maybe I did, and it just not a lot of them. Not all of them generated stuff that I thought was worth it, or I was not going to go through 10 pages of stuff to try to find it. But this is some stuff that I just thought was interesting when it came down to places that he had previously lived at. Unfortunately, I don't happen to have the list. It's very easy to probably just Google it if you want to see the list of everything. But these are some of the places that he has been associated with. North Reading, you get 424 in Hebrew, and then 798 in English, and 133 in simple. Pretty sure I mentioned this one before. But in the English and simple, you get Count Dracula, Philippines, the Cipher Key, and another key, 113, Jacksonville, Bruce Willis, Brian Koberger, Warner Brothers, Roman Reigns, White House, Kate Middleton, 7 years, General Flynn, King of Babylon, Salve Coagula. I'm not even going to say that A word. Dream something. QAnon drops. Number 4, Saturnus. Then you have Massapequa Park, 954 and 159 in English and simple, and 699 in Hebrew. For the 699, you get Aztecs, Blue Phoenix, Scooby-Doo, Donuts, Cancer Zodiac, Plumbed Serpent, Eleanor Rigby. And then in the English and simple, you get John F. Kennedy, Mark Zuckerberg, Constellation 78, Royal Purple, Starry Night, The King of Israel, Doctor Strange, Pizza Crust.
Isn't that funny?
Pizza Crust.
Come on.
Alice in Wonderland, A Perfect Storm, Project Monarch, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Yo, you get a lot of combinations of him.
Yeah, you do.
Mayan Pyramids, George Harrison, Royal Bloodline, July 11th, You Are the Key. Another key.
Mm-hmm.
Then North Brunswick, another place he was at, 1612, 1170, 195. 1612, Jason Tatum, Sun Worshipper, The Twin Souls. 1170 and 195. 777. Back to 777 again. Best is Yet to Come, Holy Grail Bloodline, 1917. Not that interesting. November 18th. Brother and Sister, The High Priestess, Satoshi Nakamoto, Magic of Looking Glass, February 13, July 13. Isn't that a date that matches something too?
Yeah, July. It was one of the phone calls.
Yes. The Secret Prince, Huron Road, 462, and for Hebrew, 588 in English, and 98 in simple, and 462 you get Istanbul, Enchantress, Rothschilds. And then the 588 and the 98 also match a poem, colophon, if I'm even saying it right. Colophon. It matches.
Real quick. July 13th was when he was arrested.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah, so that's huge. That's significant. Sorry.
Yeah, Huron Road matches, yeah. Oh, wait, which day was that? Which address was that? North Brunswick matches the day that he got arrested. And then Huron Road does match a poem, again, by Crowley. And then it also matches Independence, which is another poem written by Crowley, the 588 and 98. And the 588 and 98 also match Root Beer. Again, the A&W Root Beer. We have Root Beer here. And the Root Beer, just to reiterate, Proton, Alpha and Omega, Garden of Eden, 88, Nero Caesar, Lazarus, Angel of Death. May 3rd, Dr. Pepper, Python, Waterfall. Red Balloon, Second Death, April 9, second day of the Book of the Law. It's April 9. Bernie Madoff, Blue Star, Holy Death, Blue Angels, Black Knight. Osborne Road was somewhere that he lived, 396. I find that interesting. It's got the 369 in there for the Hebrew. And then the English is 630. And then the simple is 105. You get his address. For the 396, you get the secret King Solomon 33. The Sacred Fire, Chris Benoit, Keeper of the Flame, Sun King, the Seraphim, Police Officers, the Throne, Irish Bloodline, Alex Jones, 9/11, Simpson, Francis Bacon, Green Comet, The World, which technically could be another tarot card, Dirty Diana. I always got to mention her when she comes up. She's come up a bunch of times. Michael Jackson must have been like a master at gematria. Masonry, Sudden Death, Hammer Time. I mean, it matches Hammer Time. I mean, and he did like his hammers.
Yeah.
Moon Cycle. Then we get West Warwick, 2998 in Hebrew, and then the English is 930. Chop off that 0, you get 93. And West Warwick in simple is 155. For the English in simple, you do get coronavirus, the alien arrival, erotic violence, Year of the Rabbit, which did start in January 22nd, 2023. Christianity, Masonic Ritual, Cat Whiskers, January 15th. Babylon the Great, 313. January 7th, Prosecution, The King of Kings. Again, Rex, King. Beverly Hills, you get 1359 in Hebrew, 894 in English, and 149 in simple. In 894 and the 149 in English, you get Skull and Bones again. This is something that I read in part 1. Liber El Vel Legis. I said it was missing the A. Same one, so obviously this was in the last episode. And I even made the remark, April 7th, which it matches, is the day before the Book of the Law. So this is even one that we've even mentioned before. Strawberry, Sweet Caroline, Flux Capacitor, Back to the Future, Edward Snowden, Holy of Holies, John Fetterman, 1119, and Dolores Cannon, which then also equals Megan Waterman, 894 and 149.
That's so weird.
Yep. Burlington, 548, 792, and 132. For the 548 in Hebrew, you have the Lord of Hosts, Disney, South Africa, Electromagnetics, Grapefruit. And then in Massapequa, you get 548, 678, and 113. That is the Lord of Hosts. So Massapequa and even Burlington match Hebrew gematria. And Lord of Hosts does match Netzach. That is like the Order of Angels, if I'm correct, for Netzach as well. So I did find that interesting and did mark that on there. Because I have seen some Kabbalistic spheres, I think, throughout our investigation.
Yeah.
All right. So I got that done now. The locations. We've already done the phone calls. We've done the news. I did the one to the last of it. Finally, back to some of the poems.
Yeah.
This is just to tie back a little bit more of them. Very weird. I think a lot come up. And again, this is kind of why we didn't make it to the Book of Lies, but we will be going into that. And like I said before, I do think we'll have a lot to show as well when it comes to that.
Agreed.
But because of all this poem stuff, it was just like I had to start running all of them. And then unfortunately, because I haven't taken the time yet to actually make like a graph, I'm literally going through every screenshot from episode 1 and every screenshot that I had up until I started to look at his poems, I was going through. And I was like, this is horrible. But I found that's probably why I missed some and noticed the matches, because I was like, damn, I didn't even catch all this. But it was a lot for me to go through to do it that way. And then we finally started to make like some sort of like, some sense of the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so Wizard Way. That is a poem by Crowley, The Wizard Way. That is 2908 in Hebrew, 978 in English, and 163 in simple. Again, poem by Crowley. The 978 and 163 equals prostitute. The 978 and the 163 equals Amber's B-Day, February 10th. 978 and 163 does equal Revelation 9. You had mentioned earlier. 978 and 163 for January 18th is Megan's birthday. It also equals September 2nd, which I have Amber written on here. I don't know.
Yeah, so that was the last day that Amber was seen, and possibly the day of her death, was September 2nd.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is creepy to me.
Yeah.
Then Sackcloth and Ashes. That's 524 in Hebrew, and then 978 in English, and 163 in simple.
Yeah.
And that
so sackcloth is burlap. Sackcloth is burlap. That's kind of one of those things where they interchangeably use burlap with sackcloth. So sackcloth and ashes comes up a lot for the Wizard Way. And burlap was used to tie the bodies. Sorry. That was, they kept saying that burlap was used. Camo burlap.
That's right, yes. It was almost to the point to where they say I have, was it Grizzly who pointed this out?
Mm-hmm. It might have been.
Shout out to Grizzly, not that she needs a shout out because her channel's fucking gigantic. And
she's amazing.
But she hasn't answered any of my emails or my comments. I'm just hating. No, actually doing some amazing work. And if you're interested in like the basic facts and stuff and following this case, not in an occult sense, I highly suggest to actually go check her out. Great work, amazing researcher. She does like stuff like 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know how she does it, honestly. But yeah, the sackcloth, I think that she said was more of what she's guessing, because there's people that have contacted her. You can buy these cloths or these burlap things that it's like you're taking it out with you, but it ends up like turning into like a thing that you end up like kind of using to carry them out as well. It's like a multi-purpose sack. It's like it starts off with one thing and then it ends up with a body in it. Yeah, so I found that interesting.
Yeah, you can use them as blinds, like to hide in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it was. You actually wear it to hide, and then after you're done killing the thing, you take it off and put them in it and leave.
You can wrap the carcass in it and then hike back out. If you were hiking in to do your harvest, and then you hide in it, and then you can use it to carry it back out. Yeah. It's kind of multi-purpose that way.
Yeah, right. Why not use that one? So, I mean, that matches the Wizard Way as well. I thought that was really weird. Then we have Ut, U-T. That is another poem by Crowley. That is 300 in Hebrew Gematria, and then in English it is 246. In simple is 41. X equals 300, which is, the new Twitter. And we have seen a lot of Elon Musk being mentioned in this and stuff to do with him, honestly.
Yes.
It also equals buried. 300 equals buried, which they were buried. 300 also equals the Lone Pine Mall. Which would you like to explain that one, Lisa, since this is all you?
So, Lone Pine Mall is the mall from Back to the Future.
We've had DeLorean, Plutonium. What else did we have?
alive.
Yeah, yo, what's up with that?
Capacitor.
And you know what's funny is that I legit, I've said this about 10 movies. Maybe I'll get one done before I finally stop podcasting. But like even Back to the Future, I would love to cover because I really do think, in my opinion, coming back from a magical experience is literally that.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. And the whole buried thing, I mean, because John Vitroff, who is the other guy, serial killer there in Long Island, he was posing the bodies. And there's styles to these serial killers. And the fact that Rex or whomever it was, allegedly, buried the bodies is a signature. So being buried was significant for the poem. Yeah.
No, I can. Yeah, that's definitely like, yeah. You know, that's actually a good thing. I never really looked at that how the way he's like getting rid of them is like a signature in itself. It could be.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm just showing you UT again, 2, 4, 6, and 41. And then that also matches King. 2, 4, 6, and 41. And Rex could translate to King.
Yes.
Omega, where he stored his stuff at in Amityville, near the horror house. 2, 4, 6, and 41. Yeah. Key, 2, 4, 6, and 41. Abaddon, 2, 4, 6, and 41. And would you like to explain that one, Lisa?
Yeah, so Abaddon shows up in Revelations 9:11, which we just talked about, that Apollyon showed up in Revelations 9:11. So Abaddon is the king of the angel of the abyss. In Hebrew, it's Abaddon, and in Greek, it's Apollyon. And the Apollyon equals the V79 mitochondrial DNA that is linked to Rex Heuermann. And Abaddon is obviously the Hebrew or Aramaic version of the king of the angel of the abyss. But if you go later into Revelation, it goes on to talk about how the fifth angel blew his trumpet and the star that had fallen from the sky to the earth, it was given a key to the abyss. And so the key also equals Wanta, which is the road that leads you into Gilgo Beach.
Beach, water, the abyss. Dead bodies. Yes. That's weird.
It was just too much, yeah. So.
Oz. Libra Oz. Or Oz by itself, 2, 4, 6, 41 also. And there we have it. Very, very weird stuff to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, with all this connections and all this stuff to like Thelemic stuff and Aleister Crowley stuff and just even the other things that I'm hatching in Gematria, I just, like I said, I don't even know what to think about this anymore. You know, and like we haven't even gotten to covering this stuff in the Book of Lies. You know, which any occultist out there, honestly, if you've heard us say that already, I mean, you could probably go pull it up and start going through it and find it yourself, what we're going to talk about. You know, right. Slick and all those guys should have no problem picking it up if they were just to go looking at it real quick. And you'll probably be like, damn, okay. But I mean, so like I just, knowing that I'm going there as well, I guess with what we've covered, it's just very hard for me to even have an opinion on what I'm even covering anymore. Right. You know, did this happen for real? And this is just some kind of, or is this all true? Did it happen for real? And like I said, I've questioned if this guy is just like a storyline. Because, like, that's what I was, like, really kind of thinking. But, like, I don't know. All of this stuff, man. Like, for one man to, like, constantly live their life with these numbers and things and all this stuff matching up, it's just freaking bizarre to me. You know, or, because to me, it would be easier for an AI program probably to print out a storyline to hand us. To make all this work. Mm-hmm. You know, how do I know he's lived at these addresses? No idea. I mean, you're saying that one of them was across the street and nobody's mentioned anything about that.
Right.
What's up with that? I'm filming his house for the intro of this episode, and I'm literally doing it from the sidewalk in front of the other house that he technically lived at or owned at one point. Thinking, like, why nothing over here? Yeah. It's just weird. I don't know. But that is everything that we've got for this one. I hope, like, it made sense for a lot of people. I'm sure, like, for regular true crime people, this is probably over your head. Something that I did want to explain, and I really should have done it in the beginning. Hopefully people are still listening and not, hanging up already because they thought I was wrapping it up. You know, gematria. When it comes to gematria, I know a lot of people like to kind of like blow it off a little bit or think like maybe it's not all that serious. There's, you know, some people who won't even pay it any mind at all. There's shows I know that it won't, interesting enough, won't even want to touch it, which is a question in itself, you know.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of people kind of blow it off. If you believe sigils work at all, you have to account for gematria. You have to. If you're making planetary sigils, or if they're, you know, being created by someone else, not saying yourself, if there's planetary sigils being made, sigils off of the magic squares, which is associated with Kabbalah. You know, they have numbers on them. They go 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5, going down the spheres or with the planets. These things change. And within each little square, there is numerical value. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. They jump all over the place. And when you want to make a sigil, you will get the numerical value like we're showing you here, and that's how you design your sigil. So if you believe sigil magic works like that, you have to believe in gematria, or you're screwing yourself. There is probably things that we look at every day, logos, sigils, things to the media, like, you know, anything with that stuff that's blasted in our faces. I guarantee you it probably has been designed off of what we're showing you. Numerical value and the design that it makes in a specific square, or even the Golden Dawn. They have their Rosy Cross sigil. All these things are used. So if you believe in like sigil work and all that crap and mantras, you have to take in account this stuff is legit, because that's where this is coming from. You're making your sigils because of gematria. So people really shouldn't blow this off if you believe in occultism, believe that sigils have this much power or this and that. You're going to, you know, so I think you should pay some credence to this stuff. I'm not saying, you know, all of it that we just showed, but like, you know, even though it's just silly, weird number stuff, stop fearing it and actually just, you know, pay some mind to it and use a website. You really don't even have to figure it the hell out. You know? I don't know. Really, what I'm just trying to get at is I think people need to pay attention more to this stuff. It's not just some weird stuff or silly stuff or coincidence all the time. Because, again, it is used behind other things in occultism and magic. You know, especially like if people want to believe in like code and math and all that stuff, this is all part of that. If you think we're in a matrix, you're going to have to, you know, I'm sorry, but gematria is going to be part of it. But I just wanted to bring that up. I really would have rather have said it at the beginning before I started doing all this. But, you know, if you're still listening at the end and you're catching all this and you're like a little bit questionable about it, I'm just saying, like, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be everything that we showed you. But even when it comes to gematria and numerical value and all that stuff, you know, you pay some mind to it. You know, so it's used a lot more than people think. And I think a lot of it is because it's so confusing. We just disregard it because if I can't wrap my head around it, I don't want to think like it really exists. Or my brain will lie to me about something to make sense of something I can't understand.
Right.
So that is that. My spiel is done. Lisa, thank you so much for another amazing episode.
Thank you.
This one, as people can see, did drop as a regular Occult Rejects. I'm making this on Tuesday, and it's dropping the next day because it is heavily coated with occult stuff and Aleister Crowley and Thelemic stuff. So this one's going to be a regular Occult Rejects, and part 3 definitely is going to be, I would love to be able to drop that and do that before next Wednesday. I don't know if that's going to be possible. Just because, like, this took a while, you know.
You did a lot of work.
Yeah, I just
enormous amount of work. It took up a lot of your time. And,
yeah, I just don't know if I'll have. I mean, it was crazy. I bought the book off Amazon because I was like, I'm actually gonna have to read it, and I don't want to do it on a PDF. I want to be able to write it in it. I want to be able to highlight it. Just go to this, go to that, whatever. I want to be able to have the physical book and actually read it and really try to find like as much as I can. So it's going, you know, I'm going to be anal about it. So it may take more than a week. Especially going to see Def Leppard this weekend in Syracuse. So
Nice.
I won't even be around the weekend because I'm going to be going up there Friday, Saturday, and coming back Sunday. Yeah, so if it's not next Wednesday, I may drop something else that's in the rotation, and then the Wednesday after that, at least I would think by then, part 3 will drop. And I'm going to do that as a premiere also because I really did enjoy the part 1 premiere. We had a lot of people that chimed in that were into this stuff and added a lot of interesting stuff. So if you're watching the premiere right now, try to look at the chat if you can. If you're doing it from your phone and it's in your pocket, I get it. But check out the chat because we had a lot of great info in there. I was really happy to see all that.
I was blown away by some of that.
Yeah, I really was. Yeah.
And it really helped jog, some other searches as well. So it was very, very good. Yeah.
Oh, no, we definitely had some magicians in the chat doing their thing. And I was like, God damn. It's like, you're making me look awesome. Like I don't know shit. Yes, thank you very much again, Lisa, for all the time and work and all your timelines and all the stuff you do. I really appreciate it. That was an awesome episode to do, and I'm loving this series, even though it's just bizarre now. It really is just.
I'm looking forward to the other one. I'm looking forward to the third one when we start getting to the Book of Lies. It's going to be great.
You know why I'm really actually looking forward to that one? Because for people listening, I don't think that one. I mean, I'm saying now, I don't think it will be heavy with numbers. I'm sure there will be number stuff in it, but we really will be pointing more at stuff in the books.
Yeah, descriptive things with the case.
Yeah, so I think that's really interesting. So
right.
Keep an eye out for that. And I'm done. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.